What's up guys, this is Zach with Top Deck Nation, and today we're going to be continuing our Burning Shadows coverage with another deck profile, and that is going to be Ho-Oh GX with Volcanion EX. Now if you haven't checked out our other Burning Shadows deck profiles already, be sure to do that. We've covered a number of decks already. We've covered Golisopod, Darkrai, Gardevoir, just to name a few, and we've also done a deck battle video featuring Golisopod and Darkrai, so check those out if you want to. But today we're going to be looking at a Volcanion variant that is featuring a few of the new cards from the brand new set Burning Shadows. Now, this is going to be a World Championships format deck, so if you're looking for a post-rotation deck, keep checking back on the channel. We should have that up later this week. So with that said, I do want to go ahead and walk through the deck here. So if you're new to the trading card game, or you just don't know what Volcanion decks are usually centered around, I'll go ahead and explain that. So Volcanion has the Steam Up ability, the EX I should say. It's called Steam Up, and so if you discard a fire energy, your attacks actually do 30 more damage, and so this actually stacks up per Volcanion. So if you discard 3 fire energy, you have 3 Volcanion out, you're going to be doing an extra 90 damage, which is pretty insane. And then you have a bunch of fire attackers such as Volcanion, the non-EX Volcanion, Turtonator-GX, and now Ho-Oh GX. So a lot of great attackers here. We can put energy on the board really quickly thanks to a few cards here, so I do want to go ahead and walk through that. So as far as the Pokemon, we're playing 3 Volcanion. Typically a deck is playing between 3 and 4, I would say. It's dropped recently just because Fighting Fury Belt and Choice Band pretty much kind of supplement that other Steam Up. You don't really need 4, and we're also playing Rescue Stretcher. So I mean, plenty of outs to get your Volcanions out. The math is pretty much the same, so I think 3 is pretty ideal. It lets you squeeze in some other cards such as the Kiawes and the Brooklet Hills, etc. We're also playing 3 of the non-EX Volcanion. It has an attack called Power Heater that basically lets you accelerate 2 energy on the board, so really strong, especially with that Steam Up ability. We're also playing 2 Tapu Lele for that really good Wonder Tag ability, lets you search out a supporter, so great, especially for those one-of supporters we're playing like Lysandre, Guzma, and even that turn 1 Kiawe, so really strong if you can, for example, have like Brooklet Hill, you get your Volcanion out, you search for Kiawe and use it the first turn and pass, and then suddenly you have a Volcanion that is fully powered up the following turn for a knockout, so really strong. We're also playing 1 Turtonator-GX. I don't really think you need more than 1 Turtonator at this point because there's so many different outs to getting energy on the board already. We already play Kiawe to put a bunch of energy on the board. We're playing Max Elixir, so I think 1 is pretty much the way to go. It's got that GX attack that lets you put 5 energy on the board from your discard, so really strong. And then finally, Ho-Oh is the newest edition. It's got 3 attacks. The GX attack we're not too concerned with. It just puts some EXs and GXs on the bench. Not really all that great in this kind of build, but the first attack snipes for 50, so pretty good. We can do a few Steam Ups and a Fighting Fury Belt to power that up, although if it's hitting the bench, I think it still only hits 50, unfortunately. But the second attack is what we're really concerned about. It does 180 damage for 4 energy. We can't use it next turn, but that's fine because we have a number of outs to switch back into it, so that effect is actually removed. But 180 damage is a lot of damage, guys. It's enough to one-shot something like a Greninja Break. With a couple of Steam Ups, it's knocking things out like Gardevoir GX, which is going to be a really big deck at the World Championships, pretty much guarantee it. And finally, it has a lightning weakness instead of water weakness. So again, really good against these water decks, especially with Fighting Fury Belt, and I think it could be really strong looking ahead. So Ho-Oh is a pretty solid one-of in this deck. And finally, as far as our Pokemon go, we have a 1/1 Starmie line. Starmie is great because of the Space Beacon ability. You can discard a card and put 2 energy back in your hand, 2 basic energy. So in this case, I can Steam Up a couple times. I can Space Beacon to get this energy back, and maybe I attach for the turn or Steam Up again. Who knows? But the other benefit is that the Staryu actually has free retreat. So there might be situations where I Guzma out something and I have to switch into Staryu, and then I can just retreat back out. So a lot of great little situations like that. Now, as far as our trainers go, we're playing a pretty standard line. We're playing 4 Professor Sycamore, probably the best supporter in the format, just making sure we discard our hand and draw 7 new cards. So really good in a speed build like this. 3 in, just because we're playing so many outs to draw cards anyway. We don't really need a 4th one because later in the game, in isn't quite as good. You're inning yourself to 1 or 2. You're probably not going to draw what you need exactly. So I think 3 is a pretty solid count here. 2 Kiawe, and I do apologize that these are the only proxies in the deck that aren't in color. Somehow I forgot to print those off in color, but I assure you that the deck battle video, which is going to be between Volcanion and Gardevoir GX, we should have that up tomorrow, hopefully. Those will be in color for sure, so I should have that fixed. But Kiawe is a new addition to the deck. It's really, really strong because it lets you accelerate 4 energy on the board, 4 fire energy, and that is really, really strong. So in your very first turn, like I was explaining a minute ago, you could have a Ho-Oh on the bench or a Volcanion. You can Kiawe on the first turn. It does end your turn if you use Kiawe, but that's fine on your first turn or even your second turn. As long as we get a bunch of energy on the board, we are good. And then finally, I am splitting the Lysandre count. Normally you play 2 to 3 Lysandre, but I think a 1-1 split of Lysandre and Guzma is pretty ideal. Sometimes you don't really want to switch out, or you can't really switch out just because you're playing, maybe you don't have the Floatstone on the board or something. So Lysandre might be ideal in that kind of situation, but otherwise Guzma is a little bit better in my opinion. As long as you have a free retreater, it is pretty good. Guzma will Lysandre something up essentially, or bring something up, I guess, and then you have to switch one of your Pokemon. So really good to get out of Volcanion's attack, Volcanic Heat. Normally it can't attack the next turn, and then the same with Ho-Oh's attack as well. And then finally, we're playing 3 Brooklet Hill because it lets us search out Volcanions really quickly and efficiently, as well as Staryu. And it's also countering stadiums like Altar of the Moon, for example. So really good way to have consistency in the deck, really good way to get out Volcanion without having to waste your Ultra Balls. You can Ultra Ball for other Pokemon you need instead, so really good. And as far as our items go, again, we're playing pretty standard counts here. We're playing 4 Ultra Ball to search out our Pokemon, 4 Max Elixir, and that's in conjunction with Turtonator and Kiawe, so you're going to have a ton of fire energy on the board really quickly and be really aggressive with the deck. That's the strategy of Volcanion. 3 Verse Seeker, because I don't really think we need more than that. I think 3 Versus Seeker is enough to do what we need to accomplish. The first few turns of the game, we're using Tapu Lele, we're burning through our resources, and then as long as we're pretty conservative, we should be good. But Garbodor is still somewhat of a threat, the Trash Lynch Garbodor, so we don't want to max out every item that we play here. Fighting Fury Belt, I think, is better than Choice Band in this deck because people are typically playing 1 to 2 Fill Blower, and so if you play it correctly, you know, they might knock off a Stadium, they might knock off a Floatstone, 1 Fury Belt, but if you wait to put these Fighting Fury Belts down, it's going to get to the point where even something like Gardevoir, they're going to have to commit a lot of energy to knock out the Volcanion. Otherwise, they're going to be 2-shotting you, and you're going to be winning that prize exchange because you have more HP and you can one-shot them back. So I think Fighting Fury Belt is pretty ideal versus Choice Band. And there's also the situations where your opponent may not be hitting with an EX or a GX. For example, Garbodor, I would normally need 4 Steam Ups with the Baby Volcanion, and with a Fighting Fury Belt, suddenly I just need 3 Steam Ups and a Fighting Fury Belt. So I think overall it's a better choice in the deck right now. We're playing 2 Switch and 2 Floatstone as a way to retreat out, and that's going to be good for things like Ho-Oh or Volcanion, or anything that gets stuck in the active, of course. And then finally, we have 2 Fill Blower and a Rescue Stretcher. Fill Blower is good to knock off those tool cards like Choice Band, Floatstone, just in case the Garbotoxin Garbodor is shutting off your abilities. And then the Rescue Stretcher, of course, is to recover our Pokemon. We don't really need Super Rod just because we're already recovering our energy through Starmie, and we're playing a bunch of energy to begin with. So I think Rescue Stretcher is pretty much the way to go, especially if something gets knocked out and you want to grab those Pokemon back out in a pinch. And concluding our list here, we're playing 13 Fire Energy. Going forward, you might even be playing more post-rotation just because we'll have to replace a few cards on the deck like Versus Seeker and Fighting Fury Belt, stuff like that. So my post-rotation list is actually playing 14 Energy right now, and it's really, really consistent. But the pre-rotation list, the deck is really tight. There's a lot of stuff we want to fit in here. Versus Seeker, for example, really strong card to have. So I think 13 Fire is still really consistent. It gives you a means to make sure that we can always Kiawe if we need to. We can draw into fire and steam up. We can Max Elixir pretty efficiently. So overall, this is going to be the deck list, guys. I think it's really consistent. It's really aggressive, really fast. Against stage 2 decks, you're going to be taking several knockouts out before they even get set up. So that's really good in those situations, such as decks like Metagross and Gardevoir, Vikavolt, any kind of stage 2 deck. You should have a pretty solid advantage just because you're faster. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about the deck. Are there any changes you would make? Do you think this is going to be a top contender for the World Championships? I think it's going to be really strong going forward. Probably one of the best decks in the post rotation. And again, we'll have that deck list up later this week, so be sure to check that out as well. And as a reminder, tomorrow we will have a deck battle video up featuring this deck and Gardevoir GX. So if you've been wanting to check those decks out in action, we're going to have that up for you. And finally, be sure to like our Facebook page at Top Deck Nation. Be sure to like this video if you like the content. And finally, be sure to subscribe. We're nearing 2,300 subscribers, and my summer goal is 2,500, possibly more. You guys have been amazing. We've kind of shot up lately in the past couple weeks because of the Burning Shadows coverage. So let's keep it up. And I really, really appreciate the support, guys. But in the meantime, this has been Zach with Top Deck Nation. Hope you guys enjoyed the content, and I'll catch you in the next video tomorrow, as always.